My name is Richard Dean. I am the Senior Director of Product Management here at Syncro, and focusing on Microsoft 365 multi-tenant management. I'm joined today by a very good friend, Krishna Turbino, one of our best senior product managers. We're excited to walk through Syncro Cloud Backup, which is our fully integrated Microsoft 365 Cloud Backup and Restore and EntraID. We also have a very special guest, Danielle Zink, who is Vice President of Sales at Orchestrate Technology, who is a Syncro partner who is already enjoying Syncro Cloud Backup in production and is going to share with us some of her real-world experiences today. So we're going to show you what's on the agenda. We're going to show you Syncro Cloud Backup, how it helps MSPs simplify protection, streamlining service delivery, and turn backup into a reoccurring revenue stream, all right from within Syncro. And we're going to want to stick around. You're definitely going to want to stick around if you already saw in the chat. Not only we're going to have a Q&A to answer any of the questions that you may have at the end, but there is also going to be a giveaway of Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses. So stick around to the end for the session. The form is in the chat, so be sure to fill out that form. So let's go ahead and get started. So Syncro Cloud Backup. So nearly half of organizations, as you know, already use third-party backup solutions for very good reasons. Microsoft 365 native protections, of course, aren't true backups. They're not meant to be true backups. They have limits and gaps and retention policies in place for good reasons, for the purposes that they're filling. Um, and most importantly, that data is stored within the tenant boundaries that you have today. So if you're compromised, then having those backups in those same tenant boundaries is not good. So Syncro Cloud Backup solves this by storing a separate copy of Microsoft 365 and your Entra ID data in secure Azure storage. So backup resides in your chosen region. Our current regions are the US, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia, and we're expanded into Europe hopefully soon. So we're using a technology called Azure Blob Zone Redundant Storage, or ZRS, which that simply means is that we have synchronized copies of your data physically in separate zones, so it's more durable and resilient, so without any of that performance loss that we may see. So Syncro Cloud Backup, it's automatic, it's unlimited, it's built into Syncro, so letting you provision your customer, manage those backups, monitor status, most importantly, bill all from one platform. So the result, hopefully, is reliable restores, ransomware protection, and a new margin opportunity for your business. So when we compare Syncro Cloud back to other tools in the market, the difference is very clear. Many solutions rely on separate integrations, which can create extra steps, added cost, friction, and gaps in coverage. With Syncro Cloud Backup, everything is built into our platform. So you get Microsoft 365, full data coverage, Entra ID, full identity coverage included with automated billing to capture every bit of revenue and unlimited storage with very transparent pricing. So no hidden fees, no usage-based surprises, just a simple, predictable solution designed to fit the way you work today. And here's the best part. Pricing is very simple. Syncro Cloud Backup for our partners is just $1.90 per licensed user per month. That's it. No hidden fees, no storage tiers, no complicated usage models that you have to figure out, no reconciliation that happens at the end of every month. So you have unlimited storage, which is included. You can add Syncro Cloud Backup to either of our plans, the core plan or the Teams plan. Plus, we've made it very easy to try. You have a 14-day free trial. Absolutely all the features are available. Nothing is limited. So now that you have a taste of what Syncro Cloud Backup offers, we want to do a live demonstration, and Krishna is going to do that for us. But before we get into that, know that if you're an existing customer within Syncro, go right to our Syncro marketplace because that's where you're going to find Syncro Cloud Backup to start your trial today. So I'm going to hand it over to my partner in crime for a demonstration, and then we will get back and we'll have a conversation with Danielle, and then we'll do some Q&A.
Thank you. I'm going to try to cover this demo kind of through two lenses, one from someone who has never heard of Syncro and not really used it, and also for an existing user who's more familiar with our platform. So I'm starting today on our organizations tab. This is a place where you can create customer profiles for the different businesses that you support, and whether you're using us as a PSA or RMM or just for backup, you would create this profile and then add a backup to this customer that you've just created. So I'm going to go ahead and click in from an organization into the Syncro tenant that's created along with it and kind of show you how to get started with the trial. So every Syncro tenant now has this cloud backup widget, which is where you can interact with, manage, set up backup, and basically run all of your backup tasks for the customer, and then go into the cloud backup portal when you actually want to do some of your restore actions, which we'll talk a little more about in the demo. So I can either start my trial by clicking on the cloud backup button inside of the widget, or if you go to the App Center, we have a new app for the cloud backup, and you can click on it there. Either way, it takes you to the same app card where you will see a brief explanation of all the different things that we covered that Rich talked about, all full range of Microsoft 365 data, as well as something that's not really available with a lot of companies, the EntraID data, the kind of like security heartbeat of your tenant, because it's not just one thing to be able to recover all of your data, but your tenants, you know this, right? Your tenants are customized and set up with a list of special list of policies or your BitLocker keys or some of your device configs. And it's not just about getting those back, but also like getting those policies dialed in properly. You'd have to recreate all of them from scratch. With the EntraID backup, you just get to restore all of the work that you've already done right back in place to the tenant, or even restore that to a new tenant if you were trying to make a tenant that has some of the same policies as the one that you have now. So it's really great that we offer that for backup and restore. Our pricing is here, and then to get started, you just click on the Start Trial button and then click Start Trial there. Just something to point out on the trial is it does last for 14 days and it is completely risk-free. So if you forget that you leave it on, don't worry, the trial just ends at the end of 14 days. We do not start billing you. This isn't like a predatory trying to get you in to pay for something that you don't want to pay for. So use it. And then once the trial is over, if you choose not to subscribe with us, all of the data gets scheduled for purge. So we're not keeping any of your data, and you don't get charged if you forget about it. So there is like literally no risk to just trying it out and seeing if this works for you. So I will jump into a tenant or to an account where I've already started the trial to kind of walk you through the process of starting Cloud Backup on a tenant or for an account. So I'll go here to my Syncro tenant again, and here you'll see that my trial ends in an abnormal amount of days, but it's my personal account, so I get to do what I want. So I'm subscribed here, or I'm signed up for the trial, and if I wanted to begin purchasing it, I could click on subscribe and then actually just sign up for the paid service. Today I'll click enable. And the first thing I have to do is pick my storage location. As Rich said, we cover these 4 locations to start with more coming in the future. And once you select this storage location, you cannot change it. This is so that your data is safe and stored in the location where it's supposed to be, and it is immutable, so we can't change it, you can't change it. It's locked in. If you ever needed to make a change, you'd have to delete that backup and start all over again. But that's part of the security. So I'm going to continue, which is going to now take me over to the Microsoft website so that I can install the enterprise application that's required for us to gain access to the tenant that you want to back up. And I've done this before, so you'll see that I'm already kind of logged in to Microsoft. And for whatever reason, it always asks twice. You'll see all the list of permissions that are a part of our enterprise application. If you've not installed enterprise applications before, it is a lot of permissions and that can be overwhelming, but that is because we are trying to back up and scour your tenant for all of the information that's available there to back it up. Now, just because we have all of those permissions doesn't mean you need to, oh, lovely, an issue. Well, I guess this is because I'm using it as already on another tenant. Let me see if I can get past that. Never seen this issue until today. It looks like my special tenant status has been revoked, so I can't add multiple tenants to the same backup account. If not, we'll just skip past this part and I'll show some screenshots a little later on and move on to the restore component of it. But like I was saying, yeah, that even though you're granting us these permissions, you still have the ability to turn on and only back up the things that you want to back up. So if you only want to back up Exchange or OneDrive, you can back up just those things. Oh, fantastic. Okay, so I'm gonna have to show you this part. I'm gonna have to show you enablement via some screenshots that are conveniently located at the end of the PowerPoint deck. But I'll come back to this a little bit later, and I will just kind of skip over to enabled backup account so you can see what it looks like after it's been started. Um, so yeah, so if you want to, you can dial in exactly the things that you want to back up. And actually, I'll show you the same screen that we would have seen next if I didn't have that wonderful on-screen issue. So once you go ahead and you give permission to the enterprise application, we then show you this screen, and we're like, hey, you have to make a couple of decisions here. Whose data do you want to back up and what do you want to back up for them? So whose data? Do you want to back up all of your Microsoft users or just back up by specific EntraID groups, which you can then pick. We pull all of your EntraID groups and you can select one or more. And this is every time somebody gets added to that group, they will be added for backup and vice versa. Or you can just choose to back all of them up. And then we also have a feature here, which is turned on by default, that every time a new user is created, they automatically get backed up. So it just becomes more of a set it and forget it feature that once that tenant is protected, any new person who gets added on is going to be protected as well. You can also then choose piecemeal what you want to cover. But since we don't charge you by any individual one of these items, we charge you based on the licenses associated with the seat. There is no harm. We don't charge you anymore for all of your SharePoint and team files. So might as well back it all up so you have all of the data and you're using it. Let's click review terms, and then we might remind you of an 80%. We do have a fair use policy that requires 80% of the users on the tenant to be backed up. And we have an explanation here to show you how we count users for both billing and fair use policy, so it's completely transparent. But this is effectively the same screen we would have seen had I not had that glitch where we would go ahead and set up the backup. Okay, so now we have backup running on a tenant, and I can see here that when my last backup was, the amount of data that I have, and then I will jump over to the user side of this so we can delete some data and watch it work. All right, so here I am. I'm in Alex Wilbur's mail account. And I see that Alex has, now as Alex, it is October 28th, and I've just come off a big project, which couldn't be happier to get off of. I have 7 emails related to that project. And because I want to like clean up my mailbox, I'm gonna delete all of them. And they move over to my deleted items. And let's go here and delete all of these out of my deleted folder. And let's go into my recover deleted area and then make sure we really get rid of all of them. Now, these, although they're even deleted here, Microsoft does hold on to them without an in-place archive, without in-place archive or retention policy. Microsoft still holds on to them for 30 days, but then after that, they are gone. And then if I go over to my files, I have a folder here with one file inside of it. I also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more files here. I want to get rid of all of those as well. Really happy to be off this project. And same thing, I'm going to go to my recycle bin, pick all of them and delete them. And now let's go to my second stage recycle bin. Now, Microsoft does hold on to OneDrive files for a little longer, up to 90 days without the retention policy. But after that, they're gone. And customer studies have shown that most users, most customers don't realize that they've either experienced a data breach or that they've just accidentally deleted data that they find valuable up until 270 days later. That's normally the time period where they realize it. And by then, the stuff is gone. You can't get it back. And even if you do have in-place archive or in-place hold there, it's not easy to get back really quickly and just find the things that you want. Like I said, I just got rid of a few files and a few emails. In the scope of all the things that are being held, it's pretty hard to like granularly find those things, and that's where a restore solution can really help out. So I'm going to hop back over now to my backup that I have running. And right before I start restoring stuff, I'm going to show you a little bit about how the backup is managed. So if I click on this button in my backup widget, my settings is how I make changes to what I'm backing up. So let's say I'm only backing up OneDrive and Exchange today, and I want to add something, I can make a change there. My user list takes me into the backup portal and shows me all the users that I'm backing up. The audit log is an immutable log of all of the access to the Cloud Backup portal and any changes that have been made to backup, as well as any restores that have happened. Task Manager shows me any restores that are currently in progress. So I can see, especially if I have a long running restore, let's say somebody has lost multiple mailboxes or a huge OneDrive with like tens of gigabytes of data, that's going to take a little time to restore. And I get to, if you've ever been in that situation where a customer is freaking out, you want to be able to give them proof that that the process is working and the restore is happening. And the Task Manager is great because it shows you a progress bar and it shows you that that job is still working. Um, and you can let your customer know about that. Alerts, alerts is pretty straightforward. It lets you know if there's any like major problems. Here's where you would get more information about them. And then lastly, disable cloud backup if you want to turn it off, and then schedule all the data to be purged. Here's where you do that. But for now, I want to go ahead and restore some email and OneDrive files. So let's get over to the cloud backup portal and start doing that. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at kind of like the portal overall as a whole, and then I'll get in and start doing some restores. So here I kind of see all of the different, just like the widget, this is basically a copy of it. Here's all the different services that I have being backed up, the number of users, the amount of data. If I want to hop in and see a specific user view, I can see the ones that are active, any ones that I've deleted previously. Their data is still here. I've actually, we do not automatically discard or do data pruning like some of our competitors. If you delete a user, that user loses its license, we still keep all of that data and you can restore it, just like if they were just like as if they were a licensed user. And then we also have different pages for Mail, OneDrive, SharePoint, Teams. And then I'll show you the EntraID stuff in just a little bit, but I'll wait till we get to that part where I delete some EntraID data. So for now, I need to go back and restore Alex's emails. See, he had 7 emails. It's now, let's say it's June of next year, June of 2026. Alex finally realizes I've deleted emails that I really, really need. Can you please get them back for me? There's 7 emails. And we go and, oh, look, here are his 7 emails, starting with the test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And here are my 7 emails. Now, before I go and restore them, I will show you that if I needed to, I could restore his entire mailbox. I could restore one of his folders, or I can restore just the selected messages that I'm choosing here. All of those options are available to you. I'm going to pick the just the selected messages, and I could put them in a folder. Let's say I didn't want to put them directly back into Alex's inbox because they're going to get lost. They're going to still keep their old date, so they're going to go way back into his mailbox. And now it's June. I could just put them in a little folder called Restored Email, so he can navigate them to a lot faster. So I'm going to hit Restore, and then as quickly as possible, I'm going to jump back over to Alex's mailbox and then start rapidly hitting refresh to see those email come back. And this is the part where I'm always like, oh, there it is. Okay, it depends on the day because sometimes uh, Microsoft takes a little longer to like update the emails. But that quickly, these emails are already coming back. I just clicked restore. You're watching them come back right in front of us. And within 20 seconds, 30 seconds maybe, I've got back all 7 of my emails that we had deleted completely out of the system. So restore works pretty fast. And let's hop over now to OneDrive. Same thing. I'm already in Alex Fulber because I was just in his mailbox. Let's pick all of my items and let's hit restore selected. And if I wanted to, I could, and there were versions, I could actually pick like an older version of the file. If you click any individual file, we show you all the versions that we have for it so that you can pick the right one. This is a test demo tenant, so I do not have multiple versions, but if I did, I could see them right here and I could choose to restore the individual revision or version that I wanted to, which makes it awesome to be able to dial in exactly what the user wants. So I'm going to hit restore, restore selected. Again, I also have the option to restore from a past date. So if I want to restore everything instead of just one by one from a past date, I can do that as well. I'm going to hit restore, and let's rush on back to the OneDrive. And okay, we've got 2 files already, a folder with 1 file, and there they go. I've got all 6 of my files back and my folder with my Thanksgiving flyer inside of it, just like that. So really fast restore. It's awesome. I love doing these demos because it reminds me like the product is still working and how quickly it is, and it's kind of fun to do that. And it's always like, oh, is it going to work this time? And it does, and that feels great. Um, so let's talk about the EntraID data. We've just done some Microsoft 365 data. We know that emails and files are there to be restored. Great. But what about EntraID? And like I talked about it, it's not just about becoming whole again and getting all your data back, but like if you manage tenants, you can spend hours sometime customizing all of your policies and fine tuning them, and to have them lost or corrupted isn't just a problem of like, you need to get those policies back up, but you might want to get them fine tuned. And that's all going to take time. So your tenant is kind of unprotected while you're doing that. Well, that's where the Entra ID restore is really great because it restores the policy exactly the way that you had it. And if you're creating multiple versions of that policy over time, we're also backing up every version of that policy. So even if you make a mistake on the policy and you don't remember what you changed from, you can go back and just restore the older version that you wanted and get your the policy back just the way that you had it before. So it also helps with just day-to-day management of a tenant. I have my extremely secure Azure policy, which I created. I'm going to open it up. And I like to do this just to kind of prove that we're not playing any games here. My policy ID starts with FDE4, so you're going to remember that. And for whatever reason, I'm going to go ahead and delete it. Cool, it's gone. And I'm going to hit refresh here one more time. I don't know why, but it's always really... All right, let's do this again. No, so it is gone. It just takes for whatever reason. All right, I'm going to refresh the screen or the tab. Of course, ask me to log back in. Don't you know I'm in the middle of a demo right now? Okay, cool. It's gone. All gone. Super important conditional policy is still here, but my extremely secure Azure policy is gone. So let's go back over to the Cloud Backup portal. And up here in the left-hand side, we're going to see Cloud Backup for Entra ID. So when I click into that, I'm going to see all of the Entra ID data that I'm backing up here. And we do not, when you back up Entra ID, you don't have to go and select, oh, I want custom roles and directory roles and policies. We just pick it all up as just part of the Entra ID backup. I'm going to head over to policies. And here I see extremely secure Azure policy. And there is my FDE4 policy ID. It had my last modified date. I'm going to go ahead and restore that. Now, I can choose to do it as a new object. I can also change its name. I could even change its default policy state if I wanted to. And had there been multiple versions, they would show up here, so I could go back into the past and like pick a specific version of that policy if I wanted to. And I can even send it to another tenant if I wanted to. Like I said, if you want to like copy over policies to a new tenant that you're working on. So I'm going to go ahead and hit restore. And instead of jumping back over, we've kind of looked at that a couple times. I'm going to hop over to the audit log to just show you how the audit log kind of looks and works. So we've done a couple different emails today. I'm sorry, couple different restores. I've also opened up the product and kind of looked at a few things. And all of that has been tracked. Starting on 10/28, it shows all the different mailboxes that I went to, changes that I made, all of it is being tracked here, and I can't make any changes to this. It shows that I initiated a restore. It shows what I've chosen to restore. So this information is here. It's being tracked, especially for customers who are very touchy about their emails, and they want to make sure that everything is being tracked and logged. And you can like download this into, I believe, like a CSV and send it out to them. It's really great to provide that level of security. And then if I go to my task manager, here's where I see jobs that are in progress. And I'll see the restores that I triggered here and the jobs that whether or not they're completed or they're in progress. So let's hop over to my conditional access and let's hit refresh. And there is my extremely secure Azure policy. One thing I didn't talk about is backup and like scheduling backups. So let me hop back over to Microsoft 365 and go to users. Um, all right, Alex Wilbur. So you can also just back up now. Like we run backup twice a day, every day. But sometimes if a user has an email that has just come in, if a CEO got a big important email, something like that, or got some new files that they want to make sure are backed up immediately, you can do that. And this is the audience participation part of today's call, where I'm going to send an email to Alex Wilbur from Adele Vance, and we're going to come up with a subject line together so we can prove that this email never existed before, and we're going to do a backup right here. All right, so in the chat, can you name a location that you would like to go on vacation to? Just pop it into the chat. All right, I got Italy, Iceland, Mexico. Okay, and I'm going to put Vietnam. I'm going to put Vietnam. Mexico, and then Vietnam. If you want to know why one of the emails in the previous mailbox said chicken vegetable biryani, it's because last time I asked people what they had for dinner last night, and that's what created that random string. All right, so I'm going to hit send from Alex Wilbur. Thank you very much for participating. Let's go back over to Alex's email. And yeah, this is the chicken vegetable biryani. Here we have Italy, Iceland, Mexico, Vietnam. That email just came in. 11:29 a.m. Pacific time. I'm going to hit, here I am in Alex's account. We don't have that email here yet. I'm going to hit backup now. I just kicked off my backup job, and moment of truth. I'm going to keep hitting refresh until I see that backup here. Ah, there it is. Haha, yay. Okay, Italy, Iceland, Mexico, Vietnam from Adele Vance at 11:29 a.m. So the product still works. So yeah, great. I think one of the questions as a provider that you probably get from a prospective customer is how long is it going to take for my backups to happen? And once I start backing up for the first time, and the answer I will always tell you as a product person, but just as somebody who's worked in backup for a little while, is that it depends. Depending on how big the tenant is, it can take quite a while to ingest it on the first backup, and then all subsequent backups are differential, so we're only just looking for changes to the original tenant. So that first one can take a little time. But sometimes if a customer is really concerned about, is it really working? Like, are you getting it all? I love doing this test because it kind of shows you like, no, the product works. It's fast. It's same thing like with doing a restore. Um, and when you click backup now, this isn't just a button to make you feel good, and like we actually don't do anything with it. Like we take our customers' data very seriously. We take you as the MSP very seriously. We know that you might be selling it directly, or you might be white labeling it, which means your reputation is on the line. So it's really important that the product works, and we like these little touch points to kind of like give you trust and hopefully give your customers trust when you're trying to sell this product to them. I think I've covered everything. I'm sure there might be something I forgot or somebody has some questions, so I'll leave this demo open to come back to it if we need to. But with that, thank you very much, and thank you, computer system, for not crapping out on me too bad. And there's also a demo link to a previous recorded demo that I did where that works, so I will include that link in this chat so that anybody can watch it if they want to see that. But thank you very much, and I'll hand it back over to Rich.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Great demo, even with hiccups. It was flawless, so good job. Um, so now that you have all seen Syncro Cloud Backup, and there are a ton of questions, so start looking at some of them when you get a chance, Krishna. Um, but next, we really want to talk about the real world, what a real organization looks like when they're offering cloud backup services, what the experience has been for them, just general. The point of bringing Danielle on is to provide perspective for those other MSPs out there that are either in this process or just beginning this process. So we think her input is going to be invaluable. So thank you, Danielle, for joining us. We really do appreciate it. But Before we jump into and bombard you with a million different questions to get your insights, why don't you take a second and tell everybody a little bit about Orchestrate technology so it kind of gives them a perspective of like where you're coming from when you're answering those kind of questions. That
Yeah,
sound good?
yeah, no, that's perfect. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, like they said, I'm Danielle. I'm with Orchestrate Technologies, and we are based in Cincinnati, Ohio, and that's originally where we started. But we've grown to as far west as California, and then as far east as we've got some clients in Jersey. So we've always been heavily cloud-based, and so this is why I'm able to provide a lot of feedback on this because we have probably tried 6 to 10 different backup solutions at this point. So I know a couple people had asked about comparisons, so I'll try to answer those when those questions come up as best I can if we've used that product. But I have been with Orchestrate. We started in 2013 and I started in 2014. So I actually started in a technical role. So I've done the technical piece, I've done projects, and now I do sales. So hopefully I can, don't ask me technical questions though.
I was
That's
going to
the
say,
secret team. But I have the perspective of getting it set up a little bit. So hopefully I can answer these the best to my ability.
wow,
So
I didn't realize how quite large Orchestrate was, to be honest. So that's good insight to understand like exactly where you're coming from. And 11 different solutions over since 2014. That's
that
considerably a lot. So we need to dig into that a little bit.
yeah, that might,
Um,
I may have exaggerated a tiny bit, but there's been at least like 5 or 6 of them that I know off the top of my head.
that's
So
still a lot of different products to evaluate and onboard and maybe offboard from. So
yep.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so let's kind of get started. I'll ask you a real simple question. I think this question will give us a lot of insight on, you know, on exactly how what your initial impressions are like when you first, so you onboarded with us on during EA in September, so it's now almost Halloween, so
Yeah.
you've had some, I think, a good amount of time, probably more than most, to give us like what your initial impressions have been about Syncro Cloud Backup.
Yeah, well, I will say the first thing was it is extremely easy to set up. I know there was the little hiccup during the demo, but it really is extremely easy. Like, and again, I can vouch for that because I do have a little bit of a technical background, but I was able to set it up in 5 minutes. Like, it is really that easy. And coming from other platforms, um, the setup is usually not the tricky part, while it is nice that it's so easy. But the biggest piece is that it didn't really require us to train our techs on a whole new solution. I mean, we're talking about maybe we had a team meeting for 20 minutes and people have already looked over it and said, yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. So I think that's the biggest piece for us is, hey, it really is that easy. And then the other piece from first glance was the price point compared to other solutions, um, along with the automated billing piece. So really a combination of, yes, the easy onboarding, the pricing, and then tech training were like the first things that we were like, okay, yes, this is going to be a win.
That's awesome to hear. From a pricing perspective, like what made it favorable?
Yeah, so a lot of, so to be transparent, so we have used, since I said we've used multiple solutions, we've used Datto when it was actually not Kaseya. So when Datto was itself, and then ArcServe, what else did we use? Ancient, I think, was one of them somebody mentioned. Acronis is another one. But a lot of
Mm.
solutions are closer to the 250 to $3. I know another one, and again, I'm not throwing any of these companies under the bus. I know another one, Enable, they're right around like 250. And again, these are before bulk discounts. I can't really speak on those, but Um, so we've looked at all of those, and the 190 per user was very, very favorable as far as like what we're pricing. And so yeah, I think that was huge.
That's awesome to hear. I'm glad that our price research is hitting the mark, to say the least. And I'm so glad to hear that, onboarding was easy because that was one of our core goals, is to make this simple and easy to just get started and have confidence that your data is being backed up properly. Um, so let's dig a little bit into selling backup, right? So there's a lot of MSPs out there that are probably already doing it, but there's probably a good handful that are thinking about adding this to their portfolio of services. Um, so I'm curious, Danielle, when you're introducing backup and restore as a service, how are you positioning the value of those types of services to your customers?
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing is relaying to people because people are like, well, doesn't Microsoft automatically do that? Well, yes, Microsoft protects the platform, but they're not really responsible for any of your data. So they don't really care about what happens to your data. So somebody has to. So really, I think you guys spoke on the normal retention of the 30, or I think you can change it to 90 days now. But again, Krishna mentioned that a lot of people don't even realize that it's gone until way past that 90 days. So it's really that's helpful, maybe a little bit, but not a lot because of the limited retention. But the way we position it, and again, this is different for each company, but we do have a handful of like government and healthcare clients, and so we focus a lot on like the HIPAA and just like the compliance piece of it.
Mhm.
And so that's really like, I think that from a sales angle, I mean, people want to be compliant, whether they really know what that means or not, but you don't want to have, say, our company's not compliant. And so selling them just an add-on to their services is pretty easy when you kind of wrap it with that. I will say too, again, bundling it with Microsoft licenses, we've tried to do that in the past.
Mhm.
It's worked, but we feel like when we take on a new client, to sell it to them up front as just an add-on is a little bit easier. So.
Then bundling it with the license.
Yeah, and I think too, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think there's a wrong or right way to do it.
Mhm.
A lot of people get confused by it because they see a price and then they're like, well, wait, I thought the Microsoft licensing was this, but then they forget that it's been bundled in with something else.
Okay.
So just having it as like a separate add-on, really it's the same price. It's just how you put it on your invoice and how you sold it to them. So, but
Okay.
yeah. So and I would recommend like to go back and sell them cloud backup, a new client. I have found personally is a lot harder than just selling it to them up front. So,
Gotcha. And actually, just want to fold in real quick a question that kind of came in from the audience. Like $1.90 is what we are charging you, the MSP. They had a
yeah.
question kind of like an MSRP or maybe like an idea of like how to mark it up for, to its worth, so it's worth it selling it to an end customer.
Yeah. So we have a little bit different, and again, we have nonprofit clients that we don't pass on, like we pass on a lot of our savings to them. But because in the past we were paying, I mean, anywhere from 250 to $3 for our cost, we have charged our clients anywhere from $3 to $5 per seat backup. As long as we're making I would recommend doing like the base 20%. But to be honest, we don't, and we might talk about this a little bit, but I'll go ahead and jump questions if you don't mind. But the piece on like, so the switching to Syncro. So we don't tell our clients, it's not like a secret, but we don't tell them what backup product we're using. We white label it as off like our Office 365 backup. And we do that because if we find a better solution for them, say Syncro, we don't have to go back they don't really care about why we're switching as long as their data is being backed up. And so they've already trusted us to kind of make that decision for them. And so by switching to Syncro, we're able to make a better profit margin because now we're not paying as much. So we don't have to tweak our pricing either. So, but to answer your original question before I go down a rabbit hole, yes, at least 20%, I would say, but we've never charged over $5, so somewhere between the $3 and $5 range.
We're here to go down rabbit holes. That's
Yes.
the whole fun of the call. Yeah.
Next rabbit hole to go back down into, I wanted to open up a little bit about you transitioning to Syncro. So you've tried 5 or more different backup products, and of course, from the customer's perspective, it doesn't really matter. They just want to trust that it's being done and it's being managed properly. That said, there's obviously technical. Now, how are you handling the transition in the sense of like, that data is over there, it's been backed up for however long, and now you're moving to a new system. What's that transition look like? And maybe you can't answer that.
I can answer it a little bit. So there were, it was, it's easy. There was not, I mean, there's not like a huge technical haul at all. Because there's a different like segments of clients. So like for the ones, and I'll be transparent, we did not move all of our clients over to Syncro, and I'll go into why in a second. So the ones that we moved over, completely fine, not a huge haul by any means. The one thing that Syncro does not have at this time is the e-discovery piece.
Mhm.
And so for our government clients that go through a lot of like litigation and have to pull that stuff, we kept on a separate platform because we have to have that for them. And so it didn't make sense for us to pay for Syncro plus the e-discovery piece. So we left that piece on there for now. Not to say if at any time Syncro does get the e-discovery, we would move those over, but that's the only, like, that was the only piece we couldn't move over yet.
So I assume there was a period of time for the users that you did move over, or the tenants that you did move over, that they were being backed up by the original legacy system and now Syncro, and then there's probably it's cut over more or less where they stopped being backed up in the legacy system.
Yes. So when we did was it a 30-day trial or is it 14-day trial?
14, yeah.
14-day. Okay. So when we used that trial piece, to be able to do that cutover so that we really weren't, and that's a huge benefit too, that there is the trial because it gives you that kind of space so you're not double billed.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. I hadn't
yeah,
thought about that as well.
me either. So I just thought like that's probably why we did that. But now that I think about it, but yeah, that is a huge add-on. So,
All right. So let's move on a little bit and talk a little bit about some of the outcomes that you've seen. So since you've transitioned from another vendor, have you seen any improvements in any particular areas that you could say?
yeah. So, and I can't remember, somebody had asked about like if it was faster. I don't know if it was ArcServe or Acronis. It may have been Acronis. I took one of those questions, but we've used both of those. And I have seen, and I mean, you demonstrated it on the demo, but the restore process is much faster than the other ones. So that's quicker. And then just from our team not having to go and log into a completely separate backup platform. I mean, everybody wants everything in one system. Really, that's not, I mean, that's probably never going to happen with all the systems, and there's lots of reasons why. But the backup being in Syncro, I mean, they get the ticket and it cuts down on that time too. So like the restore is faster, and then the time to actually get into the backup portal is right there too.
Do
So
you use the universal billing component too? Like, do you just
yes. So, and that, if I didn't speak on that, that is huge. Yes. Because were you going to ask something else before I talked about
No,
that?
no, no. I'm just
Okay.
curious because I was like, oh, right.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about like a single pane of glass, and that's like a big thing in Syncer, right? So we want PSA, RMM, backup, and then like billing to the end customer. So like you don't leave, and just curious to get your take on that.
Yes, we do use the universal billing piece. We have tried to automate as much billing as possible. I mean, we've got the Pax8 integration for Microsoft licenses. And then this is huge because we honestly were probably not collecting exactly what we should. I'm going to be completely honest from the other vendors as far as I don't know if we were probably under billing because every time we added a license, if it wasn't automatically added and prorated and all that stuff.
Oh,
But
like
the fact,
reconciliation.
yeah. And so and again, I mean, we were pretty cognizant of it, but there's no way for it to be perfect. I mean, that's human
Mhm.
error. So the fact that, yes, it integrates, it's just universal billing. We don't have to touch it. Like it's set up and it's getting billed exactly how it's supposed to be. Like that's huge.
There was a question, I think somebody asked in the audience, is like, are you able to add the margin to the 190 in the universal billing so that they get billed the $3 or $5 or whatever in
Yes.
universal billing? Okay.
Yes. I know that for a fact. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So then it just gets billed at whatever the MS or the sticker price is that you put out on for the end customer.
Yep. It's the same. I'm 90% sure of this. I think it's the same as when you go in and add a product and you can put like our costs and then price, or it's like cost and price, or
Okay.
so it's the same way. Yep.
Okay.
We only have about 10 minutes and we still have to do some Q&A and we still got that raffle to do. But before we do that, let's wrap up and I'm going to ask you one more question because I think this question will help us the most.
Yeah.
But and from partners like you, this type of feedback is absolutely critical to prioritize what we're doing next to bring the most value to everyone. So I'm curious, what features or improvements are you most excited to see as this product evolves?
Yes. I mentioned this is again not a must or anything, but the
You're not going to hurt
e-discover.
our feelings.
Yeah.
No,
No, and
I have
yeah.
no feelings at this point. I've been in
I
product
have like
management too long.
three really quick e-discovery piece, which somebody else just commented. E-discovery for like the third time would be nice. But no, so that would be nice. And then it is a little like buried a little bit.
Mhm, mhm.
So I don't know if like
Like
if
the interaction?
yeah, to like get to it. But again,
Okay.
it's still quicker than having a separate portal because you have to go, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to go to like admin Microsoft tenant.
Yes.
So is that correct? So like if there was like even a cloud backup tab that just took you
Mhm.
directly and you could see like all the customers and just click on the customers. So like that. And then like I don't know if and this I may already be a thing, but if there was some type of report like that we could show our
Okay.
clients that it
For
is
what?
for like just to show our clients like that their backups are successful or
Okay.
just something.
Like a top of mind value summary, like to bring back to
Yeah,
them?
just like a feel good, like yeah,
Okay.
we're doing what we're saying we're doing. So
Okay.
yeah. But for like I honestly will say like yes, with any product, there's always room for improvement. But just the early access or the early release being in September, it are like, and we're not even 2 months in, like it has a lot of things already. So we've been super grateful for that. So I didn't want to leave on like these are things to do. I wanted to leave on a positive
No, no,
note.
no. It's no, it's we take it seriously. And I think actually I'm gonna parlay that into answering a question because several people have asked. And I actually found out recently that I think we might have had some kind of like backup in the past that was like a third party vendor. And like, is this kind of the same thing? I think that's what some of the people ask over and over again because I was like really curious to keep getting that question. But I was only like my second month at Syncro, so I'm like learning a little bit. But yeah, this is our product, and proof that it's our product is like a user. I don't know if Glenn, if you're on the call. Thank you, Glenn, was confused about like, oh, I don't know how many of my users are like I actually have to pay for versus the ones that I'm just enabled and like backing up. And like we took that feedback, ran with it, and added billable users in the widget, so you can just see at that point in time how many of your current users in that moment are billable versus the ones you have enabled. It's our product, it's our development team. I am a product manager on that team, trying to like listening to this feedback. We've heard e-discovery. I think that's a little bit further down the rainbow because it's not just about the functionality, it's about locking the system down to make sure that
Yeah.
so part of the beauty of not having e-discovery is the only thing you can read in somebody's mailbox is the subject line. You can't read the email. And opening up e-discovery means now we have to like really lock down access to make sure that nobody can open up and read the email, or if that possibility is there, it's only more limited. So it's something if we do it, we want to get it right.
Yeah.
And it's a little ball of wax. So not saying no, we'll never say no, just a little bit further down the rainbow. But some of the like making it more visible, we've heard that. And also the report, I think even the placement of our high watermark reports, some customers wished it was better, it wasn't in the app card, it was in the reporting tab. So like we're listening to that. I've got that now as like a ticket that I want to see change, and we're responding to the feedback. I think more than a lot of companies that I worked at, Syncro's like obsessed with like checking community and Reddit posts and like responding. Like Michael George just responded to a Reddit post a couple weeks ago because somebody was worried that Synchro is going to get sold and like lose track of our mission. So we take feedback super seriously. And we were working with Danielle during our EA. And taking some of your feedback and Vincent's feedback like way before we even went live. So really important. Thank you for sharing that. I know it puts you in a spot to have to give us some critical feedback, but I'm really grateful for it.
Yeah. No, thank you guys for having me, for sure.
No,
No.
it's a great conversation, Danielle. We only have about 5 minutes left, so let's just jump right into the Q&A to try to get through some of these. I'm gonna, anybody can hit any of them. I'll take the first one. So Douglas has a lot of questions, but one of
Yep.
Douglas's questions is he says, I assume that XMM is a prerequisite. That is incorrect. So this will go with core or Teams plan. So it's completely independent of any of the integrations within the XMM components. So you don't need EntraID sync, for example. Cloud Backup will discover the users, the data that you need to run the process.
There was also a question about how long is the retention of data backed up. Right now, we do not have any like retention policy purge. Like there's no fixed amount of time, so all of the data is backed up infinitely. On the converse of that, we know people want retention policy functionality so that after a year, data might be automatically purged. We will be working on that. We don't have that yet, but we will be adding that.
Awesome. You want to talk about active users, licensed users, and the fair use policy? There's a different varying questions on that topic.
Yeah, I'll try to cover them as best as possible, starting with pricing. But I will also point, and I'll put a link for the article in here. So you have many users on a tenant. Some people asked about what if I have disabled users, old users that are not active, shared mailboxes, stuff like that. We do not count any of those for either billing or fair use. Fair use and billing, we use the same criteria, which is the presence of a Microsoft license. And soon we'll actually be posting a list of all of those licenses so you can see how we're like looking at each user or mailbox in the case of a resource mailbox or shared mailbox to determine whether or not that's billable or whether or not they count for fair use. So if you have 100 users and 80 of them are disabled or unlicensed users, they are not being counted towards that 80% threshold. If you have 100 users and yeah, only 20 of them are licensed, we're not counting the other 80 towards our fair use threshold. We're only looking at those 20 that are licensed, and that is what we are then expecting to have the fair use policy threshold applied to. And it would be 190 for each one of those 20 licensed users to be backed up. And because I think somebody had asked like per client or per client user, we're just looking at the seats or the licensed mailboxes in the tenant, and that's what would be billing for if they're enabled and checking for the fair use policy.
So that means shared mailboxes are free, right? Or
Yeah,
anything like a shared
unlicensed share
mailbox.
mailboxes, which most my share mailboxes are unlicensed, but in case somebody wants to put a litigation hold or extend it from 50 gigabytes to 100 gigabytes and they had a license, then we would charge for it. But 99% of the time, shared mailboxes are unlicensed, just like resource mailboxes or unlicensed users. They are free. Also, if you unlicense a user or you delete a user, I think somebody asked about that. We keep that data. We don't schedule it for purge. That stays. We don't charge you for that after you've backed that user up for a year and they leave the company. We don't purge it. We don't charge you for it. Once that license is gone the following month, you don't get charged for that user anymore. So also it reduces your overhead to make sure that your license count is accurate because you don't have to go into the product and like, oh, well, they're gone now. I need to like stop paying for a license. Well, look, at the end of the month, we'll see whoever is not licensed for Microsoft at the end of it, but is enabled. We don't charge you for it. So it trues up automatically.
Douglas had one more diving question in that area. He asked, does the user have to be email enabled? In other words, can they just have a OneDrive, app for business license?
Yeah, it does not matter. They do not have to be enabled for any of the services that they're enabled for. If you have it picked to be backed up, they will be backed up. And I also saw a question about size limits. Unlimited data is unlimited at the user level and at the tenant level. So we don't have a per user. The fair use policy is the number of users backed up, not the amount of data per user backed up. Like I think somebody said, Acronis has a 200 gigabyte per user. We don't do that. It is the way that we track for fair usage is that we don't want that the user has or the tenant has 10 terabytes of data and you back up one mailbox. That's the kind of abusive policy that we are trying to root out. But otherwise, we don't check the per user size.
I think we got 1 minute left. This question from Mark, does backup online archive, if enabled for a user, is it in scope?
Uh,
Online
oh,
archives.
yeah, I don't believe we currently back that up. But that is something we're looking at to be able to get the online archive. Or am I wrong, Rich? Am I confusing that with PST?
No, you're
I don't know
confusing
why
with
benefits.
PST. Yep.
Oh,
We
excuse
we
me.
do back up the standard archive mailbox. There's
Forgive me.
extended archive mailbox as well that you can pay for. I do not believe we support those extended ones.
Thank you. Yes,
As they're
that's the one.
slightly different. But
Yeah.
and that is all we have. We're at the top of the hour. We really appreciate everyone. We're gonna still do the giveaway, so I think that's the next slide.
Yes, hello. So I got everyone from the form here. We're gonna shuffle and we're gonna do a random drawing for our lucky winner. All right, is everyone ready? All right, let's get going.
Did you get my name in there?
I know I forgot to put my name in there.
It's under my pseudonym.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a close one. Charles White, are you still in the audience? Let me do a real quick check of our audience. No, you are not. Guess had to hop off. All right, well, we're gonna go to our
We
next.
told them to stay to the end.
Holden White claims to be Charles White, although I don't know what that's at the.
So, oh, okay. So Holden White is here. Oh, okay. So Holden White, you are the winner. I will contact you. I'll email you right after this for further instructions on how we can get those glasses to you. Thank you everyone for joining, and of course our amazing panel. Thank you as well.
Thanks, everyone. We appreciate your time today. Have a
Thanks,
great
y'all.
afternoon.